Welcome back. So we're finally in Arx.
Welcome to Arx, sir. Go straight to the guard room and introduce yourself to Carlo, please.
Stephen Russell does get around. Let's go do what he says.
I have an urgent message for the king.
I am Carlo, captain of the guards. Our king, His Majesty Lundshire, is in the throne room. Go into the castle, through the double door of the room with columns in. The king should be there.
Enough? Now. We should upgrade our kit while we're here. And since these guys don't really seem to care that we're just nicking stuff, we might as well. Before we go see the king, however, we should offload some of our stuff, because we've got a lot of it. Now that structure over there is very important. Later on that will become a portal. We don't have the spell required to activate it yet, but when we do, it'll be invaluable as a shortcut.
Don't hurt yourself, Shani.
But I'm a big girl now.
Now, let's pay a visit to the jeweler.
Welcome, stranger. I am Tefiak, the jeweler. I fear I must apologize for my meager stock, but the troll's strike has cut off my supply completely.
Is there no other place you can get your gems?
No. The goblins are the only suppliers. But if you can find uncut gems for me, I'll make it worth your while.
Fair enough. Now, for the time being, this guy will give us a pretty good deal on any gems that we find. Now, in the caves immediately beneath Arx, there are actually gems we can mine. So, we will want... Oops. Hang on. There we go, that's better. A pickaxe. And I want to get rid of this. So here we see a bunch of different runes we can get. We have Vitae, we have Ni, and we have Ra. Vitae basically means life, so we can use that for healing. Ni means negate, so we can use that for dispel. And Ra means increase or improve, so we can use that for things like boosting defense, boosting life, that kind of thing. Out of all the things that she sells, the only two that are really kind of necessary are Ra and Ni, because as far as I know we can't pick them up anywhere else. Most of the other stuff she sells is just kind of general stuff. Oh, hang on, there is something else we can get. We do definitely want this. This is a key ring. This allows us to attach every key that we find to a single inventory slot, which is incredibly useful. Now, this is actually a pretty big city. There's a lot to see. Unfortunately, 99.9% of the city
really need
is...
to get some new boots.
Shut up. 99.9% of the entire city is locked. For reasons that I will explain later. This here is one of the most important shops. It's the blacksmith. Unfortunately, it's locked at the moment, so we can't sell any of our weapons or equipment, nor can we buy anything. It will open in a little minute. And there's actually something really cool in there I'd like to show you. Why don't we take a little look in the bank, actually. There's a pretty interesting little mechanic in here. It's actually possible to rob this place eventually, but it does require some pretty godlike stats. Now, if we look here, we can see some goblin mine shares. Now, if you think back to what the jeweler said, he said that the trolls were on strike, and thus jewels were quite hard to come by. That's one money-making opportunity. Now, the simple fact that the mines have been closed means that these are pretty cheap at the moment. Now, if we go and solve the issue, then we stand to make a fair amount. We can't buy all of them at the moment, unfortunately. We don't have enough money, but 10's, that's quite a lot, actually. So much to explore in this place. But,
I know what I forgot.
everywhere is locked. If we were to raise our lockpicking, we might be able to break into a few of these places.
Just what we needed.
Unfortunately, the lockpicking in this game is not very well implemented. Anyway, now it's time to speak to the king.
Informed of unrest in the lower levels of the city. Alert the guards at the outpost.
At your command.
My name is Shigar. I escaped from one of the goblin prisons and I've been sent by Ortiern. He and his men are trapped at your outpost. He says he needs help to clear the pathway to the castle, which is blocked by a landslide. They have also been attacked by a small number of Ilsids and will be unable to resist another attack.
Good heavens. These are grave tidings, Amshigar. You have done our kingdom a great service, and you have our deepest gratitude. You will be rewarded commensurate with the risks you've taken to bring us this news. This cave-in is no small problem, however, and its solution will take some consideration. I have decided on a course of action. You will take this message to Pog, King of the Trolls. His people are very capable miners. They have even helped construct this village. The Trolls live one level below us. You may have encountered them already. They are just as ugly as goblins, but 5 times the size. But relations are excellent between our two kingdoms, just the same. We've a shared hatred for the Ratmen. I am sure they will provide immediate help.
It seems I can't escape being drawn into these events. Well, I shall help you, but I expect your help in return.
Do not fear. You shall be well rewarded for this task.
Gold will do me little good if I can't regain my memory.
I'm sure it will all come back to you. The goblins must have given you a serious knock to the head, that's all. Don't worry. And now, I beseech you, take this message as the kingdom's emissary to Pog, King of the Trolls.
So we're finally on our story quest. Incidentally, we actually get a kind of a safe room here eventually, but if we try and enter the second level now, we'll get shouted at. I think this would be a good time to have a closer look at the cooking system, because it's really quite cool. Now this is the kitchen. There is like a metric ton of food in here, as you might expect. So let's take a look at cooking a bit more. We have flour and we have water. So what happens when we mix flour and water? We get bread and an extra bottle we don't have room for. So we take the bread and we cook it like we did before, and well, I can imagine you can guess what we get out of it. Yep, loaf of bread. However, we can do more with it. If we get some more flour and some more water and make some more dough and the rolling pin, and we can turn it into a pie. A plain pie, I guess. I mean, it doesn't have any filling in it. It's basically just raw pastry, isn't it? But okay, that's fair enough.
Next time I see him, I'll tell him.
But anyway, we can spice it up a bit. Get an apple, turn it into an apple pie. We get some red wine as well, and get a red wine apple pie, and then we cook that. And 3 guesses what that gives us. A pizza. Nah, it's just a red apple pie. That's actually pretty cool. I quite like the cooking in this game. The apple pie, incidentally, will fill us up like nobody's business. I think it takes like about a real time hour and a half or something to get hungry again after that. Anyway, there's a little hidden something up here. Oops. Poison projection. Let's have our pie. Poison projection, incidentally, is useless. Oh, hang on. Yeah, we'll just use that up for now. This is useful. We'll need this for a quest later. But yeah, poison projection is absolutely worthless. It's basically the equivalent of farting on the enemy. It creates a kind of a green cloud that kind of floats in midair that's difficult to aim, and also it doesn't seem to actually affect anything at all for any reason. It just doesn't seem to work at all. I have never had anyone be poisoned by it, and I've never even taken damage from it myself from accidentally walking through it. It's totally useless. It's actually one of those weird secret spells.
To do that.
Oops. It's actually a secret spell. It doesn't appear in our spellbook for some reason. But now then, let's take a look at the library. Ooh. And oh my god.
Well, a new face. No doubt the king sent you to me for advice. As you can see, I look after the kingdom's library. What can I do for you?
No comment. So this is the library. There's like...
Akash, Yesor, Kalikshika.
See, the language she just used there, I swear it's the same language, well, okay, maybe not exactly, but it sounds so much like the Lizardman language from Ultimate Underworld. Again, pause if you want to read this stuff. There's like about 5 quadrillion books in here. I do kind of like it when games include some literature like this. It kind of makes the world seem a little bit bigger than it is, even if like 80% of all the books in this room are just fakes. This book is actually quite interesting. It contains plot points.
Akash, Yesor, Kalikshika.
Oh, shut up. Actually, if you heard what she said there, I swear she said the word Yeshor Click, which is definitely a Lizardman word from Ultimate Underworld. I do wonder if the language that she's using has anything to do with that. But anyway, I shall leave you to your whatever the hell it is you're doing. Onwards to the observatory. Now, I actually really like the observatory. There's a neat little design that they used for it. When you take into consideration the fact that the above world is completely ice because there's no sun, then they made a nice little design decision. You can see all the padding around it. I know it's like a small design thing, but I think it's quite neat. It's a nice little touch. And apparently we live on the moon. Pretty. I do kind of wonder if there's some kind of clue built in here, but there doesn't appear to be.
I am the new astronomer. I was assistant to poor Fallon Orbiplanix, and since his death, I do my best to look after the observatory.
Good for you.
Locked.
And down we go. Now. Hopefully, by now the blacksmith will be open, which means we can flog all of this nonsense that we're carrying. And now that we've got some cash as well, I believe, we could also buy up the rest of the goblin mine shares. So let's head back to the bank first. I think this entire city would be about 10 times more interesting if the lockpicking in this wasn't so terrible. Because the lockpicking, you only get like a limited number of tools, and each tool has a set of 5 durability, and every time you try and pick something it partially damages your tools. And once they're broken, they're broken. There's no way to predict whether you'll succeed in picking a
I
lock.
preferred it as it was before.
Oh, never mind. 10 is more than enough. As I said, we will roll in cash when we finally get the chance to cash these out, but it won't be for a little while. Bloody... get out the way! God, fucking rude bastard.
Anyway,
Welcome to my shop, friend. I am Miguel. Arms and armor are my trade and my life. If you need anything repaired, just leave it with me and I'll get right to it.
Okay. Now, finally get rid of all this nonsense.
I do not yet have the skill to do that.
And of course the clubs. So, I don't think we need it, or at least I don't think we can afford anything decent at the moment. Certainly we can't actually use any decent weapons for the time being. Yeah, we'll leave it for now. Okay. Here's something pretty cool. Now this feature baffles me, but it's so cool. That's a blank sword, right? It's not actually an inventory item. We can't pick it up and put it in our inventory. It's basically furniture at the moment. Now we do that. Use the blacksmith hammer on it, and it becomes a sword. I mean, is that not just so strange? It's so cool, but it has almost no use because it creates the most bog standard sword in the entire game that's worth like a handful of gold. It feels like it could have been something interesting. Actually, I tell you, it's not even swords. They're bloody daggers. No wonder. That's strange. I wonder if my object knowledge affects that. I'm going to leave that there for now. And when I come back after upgrading my object knowledge, I'm going to see if I can make that into something more interesting. Because I vaguely remember that by doing that I can turn them into bog standard swords. I'm only turning them into daggers, which is very odd. But there. And the best thing is I can sell his own tools back to him. Now, let's go mine some gems and make some cash. And while we're here, I will just very quickly dump some stuff. Now, in future, if I ever feel the need, or if I just cannot fit any more stuff in my inventory and I have to sort of do this kind of housekeeping, I suppose you could call it, I will speed it up or skip it because I know it's boring to watch. I know no one wants to watch that actually. I don't need to keep these on me. Now we're looking for gems, not those ones there. You can't mine them unfortunately. There. That's what we want. Now, I believe I said I'm not normally arachnophobic, but that the spiders in this game I find to be pretty terrifying, just on their own. We're about to find out why. That fucking shit biscuit there is... oh my god, that thing is fucking terrifying. Right, come here. Now, fortunately, there's only a handful of these little bastards in the game. Every single one of them is pure liquidized evil. Incidentally. That is what poison projection is. It's fucking atrocious. It is useless as a spell. It does nothing. Just die already! God almighty! Thank you. Right. Remember when I said that using that it would be quicker to just fart on the enemy than use that? That's why. It creates a green field that's very difficult to aim, and it doesn't even seem to actually damage or poison anything. Absolutely useless. And I have used it on other enemies. Like humans, for example. So it's not simply that it might be that I used it on a spider that has inbuilt poison resistance. I've used it on creatures that have no poison resistance, or no natural poison resistance, and it just doesn't work. Totally worthless spell. The funny thing is, it's actually a secret spell. And there's like a bunch of spells in the game that don't actually appear in your spellbook, even though it's perfectly feasible to cast them. And even, I mean, they're not exactly like special, there are some cheaty spells, I suppose. But there's like secret spells that aren't cheats, if you know what I mean. Like, you can cast an ice ball, which is kind of the counterpart to a fireball. But it's not in your spellbook, even though you have all the runes for it. It's very odd. It doesn't really make much sense what they chose to include in the spellbook and what they didn't. But anyway, we're looking for mines. We're looking for gems. Whistles. Time to get some more gems. Now, you may be wondering what the ferns and all the different crushed up plants do. Ferns are used for poison potions, which, much like the poison projection, is absolutely useless. I don't think I've ever killed anything using poison, or at least I've never had anything, I've never had an enemy that I poisoned die from the poison. If it did do damage, it was barely noticeable, so I guess poison in this game is just totally worthless. I mean, I've been poisoned like 8 or 9 times by spiders so far, and the damage it does is negligible. The gold, oh, what's that? That's a Morning Glory. That's used for mana by crushing it up, and then the lily pads, which give us golden powder, that gives us health potions. And there's a purple plant as well, whose name escapes me, which gives us poison cure, which again is more or less useless, because poison itself is not very dangerous. Ah, yeah. See, remember when I told you that the blacksmith was closed? Well, the reason why he was closed was for a very dumb reason. Now, hang on. Let's just dump some of this crap. I do not need ferns, because I don't intend to make very many poison potions. So his shop is closed and locked. I wonder where he could be. Let's go check up on him.
Oh, well.
Shut up. Here he is.
Come and visit my shop during working hours.
During working hours. He says, as we've just come from the other fucking shop that's opened. And as we go down here to visit the blacksmith again. When he says come back during working hours, what he actually means is come back when you've completed an arbitrary plot point. You see, even though he says, you would think from the first time I played this game, I thought that this game actually did have a day-night cycle, which I think is a reasonable assumption to make considering what he just said. It does not have a day-night cycle. What actually happens is when you finish certain plot points and trigger the start of new quests, certain shops will just apropos of nothing shut their doors, lock themselves in, and they will not open their doors again until one of two things. You either complete an arbitrary plot point, or the heat death of the fucking universe, whichever comes first. Now that means that we basically can't sell any of these gems that we picked up because I was an idiot and I forgot to collect them before I spoke to the king. Believe it or not, the reason why he's locked up is not because it's no longer trading hours, it's because I spoke to the fucking king. Ugh, God, this system. It's, incidentally, the system used for crushing up plants in this game is tedious as all hell. As I said, in future I will skip or speed up such sequences because I don't want you sitting there staring at me painstakingly grinding up plants. I mean, unless you're into that sort of thing, but